Pacho me met me baby no sutini baby.
Ye nyatene say what abrochiri baby. Wouldn't my baby potiano.
Me Monday. Me mbisano. Nenso. News we na almost oti Poland.
Ma okay. So ti abrochiri dia ene empendo do sen e na wo hunu afie bia mu.
Okay. Me ba ni 5 years no. And now obai. 3 years later no obai. Oba no ko. Osamba 1 year later. Enche no ko oba 3 days time maybe sana se na yeso oko. No wasamba no ko nti obako. But this year no last year no be stay.
Yeah, naso oba oni no ne abofra no montem te say moyonkofa say eja ne oba enane oba entem ya na te say
ba ne papa ne de oba ye no be stay ye no menini ye fine oba be fa kola ne reko ona ode ne ba okọ ni school ko tua ni school fees nti school teachers for ni nyina enim no. Last year on the 12th, odi ni birthday cramp no. Ono no kodi birthday ni man wo school mu. Nti teacher fo ni nim no bi student ni so e bi enum no. Nti akwat say popular. Nti na omukura omuso mu bisa akola ni say da bena. Baba be san be di birthday amana na isan say ono na why famous wo mu school mu ono na we di birthday kese wo mu school mu nti na omuso e bisa no. And so na incident we is
papa no unim no say ne nipa ban te say ne suban ne niye o te say
oh me hu say o bi o ye gidigidi na say o kan ni problem bi antinem te e bia bibisa sometimes no e wo mu say call de bi obi be frɛ wo be hu na so later oba ka say bia oba frɛ na o refi Mita friend, onusu wo mu ana ofre. Ba na nse no onfre, na me friend no so wakonya accident ba owokumasi. Sometimes so me friend o se wonya accident to call hospital. Nti as wanya accident say 3 times or buy no as wanya accident 3 times. Na nso me ni ntina ase ni ndi nkomoy. Ono ane se me friend ho ti se o se ne ho ye. Asa no pe.
Mame hwe emfuni kakra dano a asem ni siye no na wo ba no owo wo nchen e na obefa no anase ye hene na abofra no wo na kwan ben so e no fa ya ne nsaka abofra no.
Okay, last week Tuesday no enumerate 10 o'clock and of free say na danfu bi wo abrochire obekọ nti opese onsusu akola no na ompam atale ni mpoba bi emfa embre no nti oba befa no Thursday 12 o'clock e wo school mu na me nti ondi ya na me say ai odi ya no say ha e otise e friend say ya owa no kati phone nti mitina asesa na me dream na me say dey na brei patch na me kinka o ma dream say adenti na obeka say Thursday oba be fa no school 12 o'clock me na me catch me hu 12 o'clock on the ya na me so me Jesus say odi ya no ansa nka say aye oti say your friend ya nti akola no so on die ye nyina ye ndai ono anadi phone ni ma me na me pick call me call ni nche na me say ska say na o papa ekon o say ba be fa Thursday no ama wadan fofo bi esusu na danfo bi efi abrochi aba no we susu no apa matale ni mpobo ade ablo nto ba be fa Thursday na obisa me say odi ya na me say odi ya no ankasa sanka say I ought to say, Udi ya. I'm besides say, na ska obi kasa asa we ya. Wo odwen ho sen. Na akola na kasa kasi. Inde so de mi ko ji Sikaduro. Ana ye nyina ye sere ye ha 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 ha.
Me pasho. Akoda no ti se ubisa no o ka se ne papa busa ne dini ene ne krada no. Akoda no ankasa kan se ne papa de ne ko ji Sikaduro ana.
Se onu de okan ni ye nyina joke. Ase inde so de mi ko ji Sikaduro. Ye nyina ye kan say jokes keke. Se if say so omote nsem, omonim nsem. Se o krada o ba be fa o krada ni nyama. Me de me ba na me ne omudi nkomo. Me nso me tu omofo. Enti me kan sa akire no. Se onu a obi so ba be fa o Thursday. O so wo di ya. Na me so me kan se o di ya. Na o se o ya o ti se ye fra wo ya. Enti obi ka sa asem we kire wa. Wo ba dwen ho sen. I said, yes, I didn't just Sikaduro. Sana colana kai. Mean chantro. Mean chantro ngua colana susu. I am a juno.
Edi wa catcho, mwedi hun komo. Oba so be fa kodano. Onu di nkomo bi ansana odi akoda ne ma no ana se ohia akoda no kwem no ode no koye.
There be so say oba be fa ne Thursday e wo school mu. Enti imini akola ne ka sa wie ye no na Wednesday me call market nti me call me shop hono mo no na mpanyufo bi wo hono mo na me di tu omo anim se madam fu bi say ne ba papa ba be fa ne Thursday okopa matali ama no nti ba be fa ne wo school mu 12 o'clock nti sa 12 o'clock no Thursday no sa akola ne di ya. And I'm so any man, my minister cassie or cassie, a colani dia, and any papa ne cassie. I ought to say a friend ya. Into omono omuti, as yes saying advice ben, I mean, farmer, any pano. And now, catcher me say, Min catcher madame Funny say, Thursday no, a macolani in co school, now on in chain with fear. And as a moon on co school nim, non can chair, teacher Funny say. O papa be fa akola na e ma ne mfa no na echire no e ka kire o se enye madam fu bia na emi amankasa me ba sika na ne papa ba be fa no ana mo kro mo ye me se meji mi pa mi ankasa na ade ne eye mi na me bisa na me se o me yes suggestion ahwe nti e ho no mo no ana mo ka kire me se be ya me ma akola no onko school na ombe store.
If you're watching GTV Breakfast this morning, we're speaking to the mother of the child who was allegedly taken out of school by her father to be sent for money rituals. Madam Evelyn Keme is the one we're speaking to. Stay with us as we go further to find out a few more from her. She's so far giving us a little background, the man, his character, his nature, where he has been, where he was, and also the circumstances leading to how he got hold of the child, and also certain questions preceding how he got hold of the child. In fact, the child herself, from what the mother has just told us, became a bit suspicious about questions the father had asked the mother about her day of birth, her name, and other things surrounding her. And having discussed that with her friends, they told her they're suspicious, and so she should not allow the child to go to the father. Let's go back and speak some more with Madam Keme. Ma menhwe inti ubo ni nyina tugui ena oma sika eko school. Na oko school no dan ni siye.
Oko school no papa na ambefa no. Inti ni numre 3 something hono no na ofre ye say wa ba na mso da bi on mai na obi sam say tambe na omopon na mso ompon 3:30 na nso no on mai. Inti na ka jan say the Friday anopa oba befa no e de na akọ na msi you. Inti akola ne ba na me ka che ni say papa say Friday oba be fa ako na adechin na I expect say oba friend them why but akola na siesie no oba be ko school nti about say 6:40 na papa ne frɛ say oba be fa na me say akola na nkasa oni o papa ne nkasa nti odi o papa ne kasa na o ka che o papa ne say baby omo o say odi ne be kono Friday no eya ye mom homeworks bebre nti okwa ontumi enye homework no na o ka che nso omo kwa sansa omo chi abasese ya ohana o papa ne ka ti phone ehu anche na papa ne san frɛ say ni sister the Elizabeth me mane emfa ne be hia no amasama nti na omo esiesie omo ho awie nti na me ma Elizabeth ni ko hia wa amasama ba before mbe free fie no nyame ani mi ntwantro me ka cha akola ne say o kwa o papa to nsuo ma won kwan so a menum omo weduane a mendi afensu no udru baby a obepam atale amawa omuka se yiwa atale a menyi na mbisa akola ne se sika mede wo kwada se mene wo kwa akopam atale a ye yiwa atare ana o se da bi am se mo konso a hwe no anda o ka anim ona o se yo nti am kan se so mudru na se omu se chinchina yiwa atale a kikem na ka se me papa de mi koji Sikaduro papa de mi koji Sikaduro me de me catch len me ntwa ontro me catch len se woni mi na ju me catch len
me pacho anye bia papa no boso ma wote se owo ohaw owo sikasem ohaw
pacho wan catch len
omako dru ho no wante hwe biem ebreben ena nkra beka wonsa se ne asini
nti ode ne ko e me share time say ni papa ne be frɛ nanso ni papa no wan frɛ nti wan frɛ saa no na about say 11:40 ena me receive call ono kra na me kota ade nti me weka no na de phone di mechi ena me say na man kan che say me de me phone obi frɛ am mfa na ono se ma fa phone na ma receive call na enipa ne shout wo me so say me fa phone ni manira me fa phone ni manira nti enipa no kra gina phone ni so na me so on fa ma me nti ehonum na me gi phone na me say hello na enipa no bisa me say me ba no wo he nti o ka say me ba no wo na me so ni teacher ni ana efise ono o ko school na say wan be school a teacher ni frɛ ebisa say de nti na wan be school ana nti o say enye ni teacher ni na oye police ni na obani na ne de ode ni number ama me nti obani wo police station one ni papa sese a na obano o papa de ni koji Sikaduro sana police ni oso ye police ni kan nti omwo oyibi and I'm say no yibi ni kra ewo hin fa me ni mo yibi o ana say ewo adenta nti me mbra sese a nti ho na me di mi ka me furu ka kosi wa amasama na me hia obi na me ka chense obetimi a ne ka na ye correct na obi mom ka na ye correct nti ne ka na ye correct na ono se ai obetimi di mi akwa adenta na ono se ai nti ho no mu no na ode me ko na me ne ye suggestion wo ka ni se na police ni na frame moreover no nipa no so ya igbeni ana o ka se o hia ni nua ba na sasema to ne de wo se ode me ko nti na ode me call ye saa na ekodu Adenta police station.
Right. So once again, thank you very much for joining us. We're coming to you live from Dar es Salaam, somewhere near Amasama. We're speaking with Madam Evelyn Keme, the mother of the child who was allegedly going to be used for money rituals somewhere last week. We saw the videos on social media and how the circumstances in which the father was handcuffed and taken away. I asked her about the circumstances of the father, whether or not the father had ever mentioned whether he has any financial problems. And she said, as far as she's concerned, no, the man has never mentioned any such issues with her. Also, whether or not the relationship between father and child. And she explained the father has been really very nice with the child, even though they don't live together. On the child's birthday last year, which was the 12th of September, it was the father who threw a big party in her school. And so every now and then her friends will ask when the next birthday will be and when daddy will show up. I asked her also about the circumstances leading to how the child got to the father. And she explained that the father had called previously to ask about the child's name, the day she was born. And when she discussed that with the child, the first thing the child could say was, given what questions my dad is asking about my name and my day of birth, could it not be that he wanted to use me for money rituals? And they both laughed over it. And then when she went to work the next day, she discussed the same thing with some of the women who trade with her, where she does her chop bar. Chop bar is a mini eatery in our local parlance. We call it chop bar. It could be a restaurant anyway. And so after she had done the discussion, friends who work with her told her that given that the man had called you to say he is coming for the child on that day, please don't give the child away to him. And if it is possible, don't let the child go to school. Keep the child at home and don't allow the child to go. Indeed, she didn't pay so much attention to it. She allowed the child to go. But before the child went to school, she warned the child and said, if your father comes for you, on the way, he buys you water, don't drink. If he buys you food, don't drink. If he buys you food, don't eat. And even in the car, do not sleep. Indeed, the father came home, sent someone to come for the child at home on the Friday morning. And so not even from the school, he got hold of the child from home. So the mother released the child to a sister of the father who somewhere halfway from Dar es Salaam to Amasama handed the child over to the father. And she also warned the child that if you get to where you're going, given that your father says he wants to sew you a dress, and so you're going to be measured by the seamstress, when you get there and they ask you to take off your dress, say no, because anytime I have taken you to a seamstress to sew you a dress, we don't take off your clothes. So don't take off your clothes. And if they insist you do, scream and shout, my father wants to use me for money rituals. How all this came to play even before the actual event occurred, for me, beats my imagination. But yes, that is the circumstances leading to how the child got to the father. And so all that happened, fast forward, she was there, the child had gone, and in the somewhere around midday, she got a call, and then her phone was brought to her. On the phone was a police officer who was screaming at her, where is your child? And then when she had mentioned where the child was at the time, she was invited to come to the police station at Oyibi, and she even said she doesn't even know there. And so she went, looked for a car, and met a man who's an Ewe man who offered to drive her to the Oyibi police station, where she was reunited with her child. Let me go back to her finally and take this from her. Madam, medase se oni edi nkomo ukodru police station ho anasa omodo ko fie ho a bebia na abofra no aye hu wo video no mu no.
Me kodru police station ho Oyibi police station na me kodru ye na mo se akola anada. Nti omo wankasa na omo twen saa na kola ne sorry osole ye na police woman ba akode ne bai obe ohumia na obe ha game no ye matu na omo nyina omo kasa ampa ye ne ba nti ho no mo no na omo ye ko tro ye numu nsem na kola no so omo ne tro ne numu nsem nti akola ne numu nsem na ono tro ye na memeti ye nia akola ne tro ye na sese na memeti ye na akola ne se omo kono na oduru baabi na okacha papa se obanum nsuo na papa to nsuo ni ma no na me nti oto nsuo ni ma no nti omo sai kɔ kakra no na so obedidi omo kɔ kakra na papa kɔtɔ efiewura de baaye oto efiewura ne de baaye no omo sai kɔ kakra na
efiewura ne ye bag ya ye di nyoma gumu efiewura so ame
papa kɔtɔ ye omo kɔtɔ na omo kɔ kakra no papa se omo bedidi omo nkɔ didi na omo kɔ didi ye na mbisa se oni hwan ne kɔ didi ye na omo se na police ni bisa ne se oni hwan ne kɔ didi ye na se oni driver ni na kɔ didi ye na omo san betena aka nim nti omo kɔ kakra na papa ka che driver ni se onsi na ontwen driver ni nsi na ontwen na omo ba nti driver ni si ye no na ono ne papa no omo kɔ ye nti omo kɔ ye no na omo kɔ duru bebe na papa park car no na omo si ye na papa de safua no ma me bi ho na ma me no ton provisions e wo ho no na de papa safua ne ma ne se oba nti oka so oba na omo so omo nanti kakra anchepe no omo wura efie kese bi mu gate da no nti gate da no na omo ko tena ase oni ni papa nyina tena ase nti omo tena ase na obi baaye abefa papa de koye nti papa koye anche na papa ne san baaye oba epena omo ka kire ono akwala ne se onko tena edan bi wo ho no mu nti ono ko tena okọ dan ni mu okọ tena dan ni mu ohun stool wo ho no mu ahemfo stool wo ho no mu na golden knife e wo ho no mu nti ma me ni bisan se ohun ahemfo stool ni golden knife no we nsura na o si debi o ho ye palace
okopie ho ma me hwe wankasa ebra okopie police station ho a unya hunu se nia anka ekosie nu na afi utwa ubu nkompo kohwe enkomo a oni oba no abo ne ensem a monkeka ye na ekoba ne sa no na etewsen wankasa na etewsen
okay mi bo shake nenso anya mi beble e se mi ka chen se omukwa eduru honum na se bibisa na onja ne no nkike mu se papa de mi koye Sikaduro ntino me fi se bia onu na oko oshi obi no ka che na nipa niko police station ntina bia police for ne firm no omo ka se akola na di mi number omo se akola na di mi number ne ma omo se on free me nti minim se bia akola na akoka che police for ne se ebi ni papa de ni koji Sikaduro efisa nse se na ya ka no wo fie ni ntino nti ma free o papa line no me ntwa ntro ma frɛ nti ma adwini se me call police station wona se ampa se oka asam na ye kan nti na oka sa ache police for na de na no onimo papa number nti me du hwa nkrofo ne bebisa me o papa number ohonum na me de ama no ebi nso na papa no akola na adwane afri ni nchen ana ebi o hwehwe no nti na me ma mfrɛ o papa line no sa na me ye ma adwini nti na ma mfrɛ papa line no
Finally, efri se odi akwala no ba fie no, akwala no ne niye ni suban eden na u feel say asesa anase eden ni nia ni si ye no de abre akwada no.
Oh, se e de me mba ne de. Me mfa bibia nsi omo. Efi se mia na metete omo. Nti bibia omo so omo hwe TV, phone si so omo hwe so. Nti minye omo han nti bibia besi bia no ye nyina ye di hu ye discuss nti omo no o fi say bia papa ni omo hu nti no me ye bibia me ma obi ehu say me ni adaje mejuma ye mejuma nti me ma omo hu me bibia nti wono ombo shake kra
Nti se uja na kwan se onku school a na nije oba ye na nije me ba ma be hu se odi agro ba me nchen ni de na asesa won ne suban mu de na asesa wona se ne osifa ya na de
se na ye ti dada no sa bibia asesa won ho ye ba ntina police for se ebi on be ku ni school nia ebe ya ne pen se ye kwa sorry Sunday no kola bi na ye no se una edo u papa do kwakoji Sikaduro uye uye scapegoat na edo kwakoji Sikaduro akola bi na edi dinu akola ba ko Ba ochire me akola no.
Yeah, that's a pass only edi enkomo. Ma be who say grandma ewa ha, o uncle so ewa ha. Ebusiafo wa bruchire nso afro bebre. Bronu a wote so no, sen eno mo nso omofa asemu esi yi.
Bebre aba. Na aba say and cry. Ma be say and cry.
Medase, thank you very much once again for joining us. I've been speaking with Madame Evelyn Keme, the mother of the child who was allegedly going to be used for money rituals by her father. I've asked her a few questions, and in the last few minutes, I asked what the relationship with the child and the father had been, and as far as she's concerned, everything has been okay. And I asked when the child had left and they had gone, and the call came to her that this is what had happened, how did she feel? And she said, well, given that they've discussed it, she felt perhaps the child had run away and had gone to the police to allege that, in fact, that is what the father had wanted to use her for. And so for her, leaving home and getting to the police station, she didn't even call the husband's or the father's number because her plan was to get to the police station, get hold of the child, and if it is exactly as they had discussed before the child left, then she would explain to the police that had been the plan. And so then from there, she will call the man, but then arriving there, she realized that's exactly what it had been. And then the child was made to write her statement. So what she gleaned from the child's statement was how she got to the house, and when she got there, what was there. This has been the special sit down with the mother of the child who was allegedly going to be used for money rituals by her father. Her name is Evelyn Keme. As always, my name is Darrell Alan Tego. This has been #GTV Breakfast. Thank you very much. Take it over, Kafui.
And thank you very much for the interview, very extensive. We have two questions that we want to ask you from my guest. Bright, what's the question you wanted Alan to ask Evelyn?
Yes, my question is that I find out from the woman when they handed the child to her, what was the processes like?
Okay.
By the police.
Okay, and then Christine?
He said that the woman said that they live separately. So I wanted to know about the access that the man has to the child. How often the man would go and see her.
Okay. So Alan, two questions. Access. How often does the man get to see his daughter? And what were the processes like when the police stepped in? If you can briefly ask Madame Keme. Okay, so we're going to establish that link with Alan and get back to him to answer those two questions. This is GTV Breakfast. My guest in studio, Bright Appiah, Executive Director.